This is the 40 Days for Life podcast with your host, Sean Carney.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the 40 Days for Life podcast. I'm Sean Carney, the president of 40 Days for Life, and your host for this podcast, which is dedicated to helping you end abortion where you live. Planned Parenthood's annual report is out. We will share the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is a mixed bag, so we are going to dive into that. And joining me, somebody who is also a mixed bag and is still not allowed around school zones, is Mr. Steve Carlin.
Good, bad, and ugly, all right here.
All right here in this beautiful package. You look amazing, and you smell fantastic, I must say.
Appreciate that, Clark.
Yeah. Heather is also here. It feels like it's been a while since the three of us have been together.
It has been.
Yeah. We just
People thought y'all canned me.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a comment about
It's a suspension, not a termination.
One of the problems that you have that you sometimes forget, Heather, is that we have, which I have no issue with, we have a sexist podcast audience. And so we've gotten many derogatory comments about that woman, that girl, the lady panelist. So I think, frankly, you should just be happy when we allow you on the podcast.
This is not just the audience, it's the podcast itself.
This is for all the pro-abortion people to listen to and to edit and to be like, see, they hate women. They even hate Heather. So,
Oh my gosh.
we're glad you're here. This is a very good topic. We have some good news in this annual report. We have some bad news, but it continues to form what the abortion landscape in our country looks like and what it does not look like. So we will cover that. But what are we? First week of June now is when this podcast comes out. Look at you. You're glowing.
Effervescent.
The Brewers are doing well.
Yes, sir.
The Packers season is like, it's all good. You know, I was telling you earlier, I'm amped up about the Cowboys. This is when you have hope for the NFL season. Your Brewers are doing good. It's summer. This just must be like so happy around your house.
It is. I could not be more delighted, other than I get to be here, and we're going to talk about Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, that's just, otherwise summer's going great. Okay, so before we do that, I'm very interested, as you know, in your psychosis as a human and how you function. So because summer is like the cherry on top of the Steve Carlin year.
Yes.
Everything must work, and if it doesn't, you just really go down because the winter comes and it's all over for you. But so what are your top 5 summer movies?
Yeah, so
Required watching in the Carlin house.
are we round tabling it here?
Yeah, we can round table it.
Okay.
I've actually numbered mine. You don't
Yeah.
have to number yours, but
I did. I'm not necessarily proud of all of these.
yeah, you are.
But
No
I'm
false
gonna
modesty here.
I'm gonna lead us off with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Good one. A May movie. I think he has 4 weeks. We just watched this actually with the kids again. He has 4 weeks left of school when he cuts.
It's nearing the end, but
Yeah.
good times are on the way is the gist of it.
And it's sunny. It's
And
a
he's
very-
entering the summertime of his life, in a sense. He's about to exit his youthful, I'm skipping school. There's a very poignant moment at the end where he starts getting introspective about what the future holds for him and for Cameron and for Sloane. And so it's. I think it's a summer movie. He goes to a ball game. He goes to the art museum. I moved to Chicago for a year and a half, largely, I think, if I were honest with myself, probably after seeing Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Through your research, you single-handedly ousted Planned Parenthood's official partnership with CVS. You and I had a phone call, and then like 3 hours later, I was on Fox, and then they contacted CVS, and it was all you're doing. I'm still more proud of you now than anything else you've ever done in your life because of your Ferris Bueller breakdown.
Oh, good.
That was absolutely genius. And he comes out at the beginning and he's like, how could you possibly go to school on a day like this? And they just show like the sky with a cloud, like it just looks nice. It's blue sky. It's a very excellent choice. And I didn't think that you had that in you.
No, there's a lot of going on here beneath the surface. This is an iceberg.
This is a philosophical conversation about Ferris Bueller's influence on culture.
You've known me long enough to know that sometimes I'm just moping around. I'm just in a bad mood.
Sad Steve.
And my wife will look at me and she'll say, what Ferris says to Cameron, you're not sick. You just can't think of anything good to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a lot of good lines out of that movie. All right, Heather, you're next. You cut school all the time, probably in high school?
All the time.
Yeah.
So every time I skipped school in high school, I got actually sick. And so I was not able to successfully skip school for no good reason in my life. One time I got influenza. So like, forget it. I'm like a good kid. I'm a good student. I'm going to be bad today. I'm staying home. And I got the flu. And the next time I got mono. I was Cameron.
When I watched that, especially here recently, I'm like, I think that was Steve in high school. Except you had a band. You were a little cooler.
I got certificates for perfect attendance all throughout school. So in high school, I was like, how can I, on paper, still get perfect attendance, but skip school somehow? And I don't think I ever did it.
I got perfect attendance as well. I just wasn't at school all the time. And that is, God rest her soul, Miss Wallace, who absolutely loved me and would just write me notes. Our school secretary bailed me out. So I have the opposite of your experience. When I skipped school, whatever I did, which involved Ranger games on more than one occasion on opening day, was 10 times more fun than I built it up in my head that I was like, I should do that, but I didn't want to really get in trouble. I had a loophole, though, in that I was discerning the priesthood. And so I would drive up to Dallas to go pray the office with the monks and the Cistercians and hang out at the seminary. And so I kind of had an excuse.
He's rolling his eyes at me.
But then
he
some
drives
days,
to Dallas
I'm using God to
monks.
get out of school. But it's just a difference between you and I. And so then I would just maybe not go to the monastery and just go to the Ranger game. But I always had like a friend, or it was always fun. We'd blow off school our senior year and go. Sonic had an outdoor volleyball court, and you could just go. This is before the homeschool revolution too. I didn't know any home, so we're just out there at like 11 a.m. on like a Tuesday playing beach volleyball at our local Sonic, and like truancy, like we're the cops, where's people who's serving us the food. Anyways, it was always a great experience.
Captain America is
Good one.
the first one that comes to my mind. I know you hate Marvel, but it's one of my favorites.
I don't hate Marvel. I think that I'm saddened by the state of affairs in movies, and now everything's just Marvel and IP, and nobody can write a script, and so I guess I do hate Marvel. But I appreciate it's cool, and then my kids watch it, and they know I'm not into it. But with that aside, I love Batman. I love all the Batmans, except the reason I could never run for political office is because my hot take would cause me to lose the election, and that is Dark Knight is probably the most overrated film in the last 50 years. So
That is a hot take.
Chris Nolan, way overrated. He gets these great projects, and he makes kind of decent, good movies, but he doesn't make great movies. He blew Oppenheimer. That was terrible. So anyways, email in at podcast if you agree or disagree. My number 5 is Sandlot.
Ah,
Yeah.
It's my number one.
Yeah, it's a good number one.
my number one.
It's a good one. Okay, we got Sandlot out of the
I
way.
do have a Sandlot hot take, a lukewarm take at least.
First, you take the gram.
Yeah. I'm the
Killing me,
biggest
Smalls.
baseball fan in the world, as you all know. I don't think The Sandlot is a baseball film. It is a film about growing up.
Yeah.
And the best parts of that movie are before they get to the baseball.
Here's the deal, and we rip on them a lot, so we need to compliment them. I don't mind when the boomers get in there like glory days, and they just want to make movies celebrating themselves. And Sandlot is great. Forrest Gump is great. Sometimes we get these gems of just the boomers patting themselves on the back, talking about the special place this country used to be and why they had to all go and smoke weed in a cornfield. And those movies, really highlight that. And so
The Sandlot is, I do think maybe they're celebrating themselves through The Sandlot.
they are.
But unjustified. They're celebrating the world that their parents created for them, that then they, in many regards, destroyed.
Dark fast.
Getting into the weeds
It's true,
here.
though. It's like, when I was a kid, we could run around and not lock our doors. And Sandlot it's a beautiful movie, too, like the way it's shot, and it's great. But it's a feel-good family movie and kid movie. Sandlot has innocence about it. Forrest Gump doesn't have all that innocence. but it's just so good. And I don't know of anybody who doesn't like that movie, regardless of their age. You know.
No, it would be disqualifying.
I want to go back because I'm afraid of some of the feedback that I'm going to get. One of the reasons that I think people like Dark Knight because poor Heath Ledger killed himself.
Oh, you're worried about your insult of Christopher Nolan
Yeah,
offending the listeners,
Yeah.
and not that I just said the boomers just ruined.
No, okay. Well, the boomers know that. They're smart. I have a father-in-law you don't want to get him started on his own generation. It's endless. But so here's the thing, because Heath Ledger, he was amazing. He wasn't. Okay, so the Joker is the devil, right? Okay, that's a character, and the devil at times has to be charming, and kind of like, why do I like this guy? But he's a creep, and that's the Jack Nicholson Joker in the '89 Batman, who's brilliant, right? He's cool, he's a good dresser. Heath Ledger's just crazy. He's just yelling and talking to himself and saying nutso things, and the Joker is crazy, but he's not crazy all the time. He's charming some of the time. He's, manipulative. I just thought it was an overrated acting thing. And I think it's one of those things, like when someone passes away, their work gets
Sure.
built up. And it was just one of those, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest movies ever. And it's not in my top 500.
He's the actor version of Kurt Cobain.
I don't know. Nirvana was legit.
All right.
But yeah, I think Heath Ledger's a great actor. I don't think that performance was this unbelievable. He's playing somebody nuts and crazy. That's just not that hard. If that's all you're doing, he's just kind of like going out of his mind, which sadly
says
happened.
the crazy religious zealot, pro-life guy.
Who's anti-woman.
It's anti-woman.
That's right. It should have been played by a woman. We know women are crazy. So, anyways, that's my little Jack Nicholson's Joker's way better. Told him not to take the role, actually.
Yeah, I remember.
Ooh, interesting stuff.
that.
But, okay, we'll go back in reverse. Number 4 for me, Saving Private Ryan. Happy late Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
I put Independence Day.
Good one.
That's what beforehand we were saying. I said, I think I know what Sean's going to pick, and I predicted Sean would have Independence Day as number 1. I'll say with regard to Saving Private Ryan, little throwback a few months. You'll remember we did the podcast about me going back and retracing my grandfather's steps, and then I found the soldier who saved my grandfather, found his little sister. She sent me a beautiful email for Memorial Day.
No way, recently. Oh, that's a great follow-up.
I had sent her, at Christmas time, I sent her a Christmas card from our family and then photos of my grandfather and the generations that came. I never heard anything, and that's fine. She didn't have to send anything back. And she sent this 6 months later wonderful email on Memorial Day saying that my phone call made her whole year. So
you've got to, we'll post it, in the show notes for this episode, because if you have not, Saving Private Carlin, if you haven't listened to that episode, one of our best that we've ever done. It's just absolutely awesome. Great feedback. And actually, you inspired a lot of people to go and look up some of their deceased relatives.
That was cool.
It's an amazing podcast. And we didn't prep it. Right? We don't prep any of these, clearly. But I thought you were done, and then there was like the final twist.
Yeah.
I'll ruin it for the listener, but you did. That was so awesome.
We've had 2 40 Days for Life leaders now have booked Normandy tours with my tour guide after listening to that podcast.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
In a short amount of time. So, okay. What are we at? Okay.
Heather's number 4.
You're 4.
I said Independence Day.
Oh, that's right.
So we're on you.
That's right. Twister.
Hey, that's good. That's a great movie.
I don't know if this is universal or maybe it's just because I'm from the Midwest, but you watch that movie and you can smell a hot summer day.
You can also smell Meg's steaks that are covered in butter. And I love the we're gonna go and chase tornadoes and almost die at 9:30 in the morning, and then we're gonna look up and realize we're 13 minutes from Meg's house, whoever that is, and we're gonna at 10 o'clock in the morning we're gonna eat T-bone steak.
We're just gonna descend
mashed
upon
potatoes
the house.
and pie, and then we're somehow gonna have the energy to go chase 20 more tornadoes in the same day. I absolutely love that. That's a great.
That was my number 2.
Does Mary Lisa like it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she thinks it's cheesy, and
And she's right.
It is. That's part of it, but it's on the mandatory. If you're going to be a son or daughter of Sean Carney, you're watching this before you leave my home, and so all the kids have seen it.
Home kids.
It's also a good we get tornado warnings and we go to our closet, right? And we've had to do this a few times, but it's a good, like, hey, when we say we have to go to the closet, or when your school has a tornado drill, you need to do it. Otherwise, this will happen to you.
Yeah.
These people in the movie, it's kind of like the scare tactic.
Grab a strap and strap it onto some pipes just in case.
Yeah, tie yourself to Helen Hunt and hope for the best. Okay. My number 3, Top Gun.
Top Gun's my number 3.
Yeah.
I put Top Gun Maverick because that's more recent in my memory and I enjoyed it.
We can put both
lot.
of them in, but seeing as how, I don't know, for the first 10 years of my life, I watched Top Gun every day in the summer. That's just the epitome of a summer movie.
There you go.
My number 3, Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, man.
I knew the wheels would come off at some point with you. You had so much stability in Sandlot and Independence Day. You're just like, hey, I'm a normal person for real. And then all of a sudden, Russ out, Weekend at Bernie's is better than the Sandlot.
No, Sandlot was my number 1.
Yep.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sandlot was your number 1. So
I guess I did place it above Twister and Ferris Bueller, but
you did, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
are you familiar with the premise?
Well,
He's dead and they prop him
with
up.
the premise like it's Schindler's List. Oh my gosh.
It's like
I want to hear this.
It's like that Joe Diffie song, Prop
So-
Me Up Beside the Jukebox
Yeah.
If I Die. Yeah.
Yeah, so like let's say Heather's just totally never even heard of Weekend at Bernie's. Explain it.
Oh, gosh. So these guys' boss is a drug dealer and he dies.
The boss dies.
Yes, but they're going to get killed unless they make it look like he's still alive. So they have to go through the entire weekend at his resort.
It's like on a beach, right?
Yeah.
With his corpse.
Yeah, this is a great summer movie. Yeah. It was basically
Summer movie.
if you don't need an explanation if you can remember the Biden administration.
It's got a lot of bite. Well, Weekend at Bernie's made a comeback. By the way, the sequel's not bad either. I don't know how you
You're coming around, aren't you?
rotted. Yeah. I forgot about that. But Weekend at Bernie's became a thing because of Biden, sadly.
Yeah.
Like that was the kind of the joke that people would crack on him. Okay. What's yours, Heather?
I did Top Gun and you did Top Gun. So now we're on number 2.
Independence Day.
No,
Okay, I thought that was going to be your number 1.
Number
you
one
already
is
picked as number
Twister
3.
was my
Number
number
1 is so
2.
obvious.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be a conversation.
Mine, Field of Dreams.
Good one.
Another movie that you can feel and smell the Midwestern hot summer day.
Absolutely. Good one. And a pretty movie.
I wish, so I'm glad you said that because I would love nothing more if they were, I don't know how film works, but I wish Field of Dreams existed in high definition so badly.
Yeah. Well, they're re-releasing it this summer.
Oh.
So, and it's going to be in the 4K.
Not a remake, but just a new.
No.
Okay.
They're putting it in the theaters with it digitally
Awesome.
upgraded. So it's probably going to be awesome.
Fantastic.
That's happening soon. Producer John? I haven't heard. Okay. Well, he's over there.
Maybe
Weekend at
next time
Bernie's with
we're
the crew.
together, We'll go watch
That's
it.
right.
Although you'll probably have seen it by then.
I will never see it too many times to see it again.
What's your 2?
2 was Twister,
My 1 is Jaws.
and my 1 was
Oh,
Sandlot.
should have seen that coming.
Yeah. Jaws. I have a little shout out as an honorable mention, and that is Die Hard with a Vengeance. Great summer movie, great New York movie. They basically shut down the whole city to film it, and I know it's hot in Manhattan in the summer, but I mean everybody is just dripping in sweat. Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, and you just feel like it's hot and
That's
dirty.
the first scene of Weekend at Bernie's.
I think it's probably a little different.
More common ground between us than you think.
Have you ever seen Die Hard with a Vengeance?
No.
Have you?
I think I've seen all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we get to have a debate on is it a summer movie?
No,
that part of it?
that's clear.
All right,
No.
all right.
Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard, the first one, is for sure a Christmas movie. Die Hard with a Vengeance is for sure a summer movie.
I think 2 years ago, I binged all the Die Hards I hadn't seen yet. I think I'd seen only 2 at the time, and I just watched all of them.
One of the best opening scenes ever for an action movie. So, just a little teaser.
What number does it fall in the
It's
sequence?
3.
Okay, yes.
It's 3.
Yes, I remember that one.
I'll
Yeah.
have to put it on the list for a rainy summer day.
Yeah. It's
which
fun.
apparently you have a lot of. So
It's fun, and it's got a good little psychopath thing going.
Oh, good.
It's fun to It's a little bit of a psychological thriller, and very well done. And then it's just Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis together the whole time, which is, as you can imagine, a blast. Well, that's the end of our list. I know that. Dry your eyes,
Speaking
listeners.
of psychopaths.
Speaking of psychopaths. Something that was sort of hot coming into summer was Planned Parenthood's annual report. Okay, so this episode, we do it every year, but we usually have really, really, really good news or really, really, really bad news, depending on. Obviously, some of the really good news, this is, by the way, this is from October 1st of 24 to September 30th of 25.
In general, they use different time periods for different things. So they've got their fiscal year, they've got their services year. So there's no way, I don't know why they do it this way, but it's very hard to track down what is what. But a lot of the financial stuff is the fiscal year, as you just mentioned. Some other stuff is calendar year. They don't do a very clear job of delineating it.
And the reason I wanted to say that is because the listeners know that they had the whole slew of closures by September 30th of last year, of 2025. So this would include those that closed up until September 30th. Okay.
In general, yes. And then it misses the bulk of the year of defunding.
Right. It missed, basically all the year of defunding. And it misses all those end of year closures and, kind of they were just sort of cleaning house.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall, when you look at their services, they increased by less than 0.5%.
Yeah, they're not growing significantly. Again, if this is the year that they're defunded, I would be kind of disappointed by this, but they're still getting heavy government funding. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But less than 0.5% growth in their services. About 2.1 million Americans received services from Planned Parenthood in this year. Many of the services, however, decreased. We saw contraception up and abortion up, their bread and butter. But
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you know the breakdown of surgical versus chemical on the abortions increase at Planned Parenthood?
No.
Okay.
No.
Which is what everybody's thinking, and they don't produce that. That's
the stuff that they choose to disclose and not disclose is somewhat random. Like we've talked about the transgender stuff before. They bury that in a footnote. Some of their local annual reports, they're very forward with it. They're giving you an exact number. They bury that in the national Planned Parenthood reports. I don't know what that's all about.
They used to only report surgical abortions.
Okay.
Affiliates, like where we are, okay, which is they've all closed here. But they would report surgical abortions and not chemical abortions. Then, and wisely, whenever Roe was overturned, they started incorporating the chemical abortions in the number. So the number didn't really change. Now, abortions changed because surgical abortions basically went away. But the chemical abortions, before those totally got banned, it was basically like, see, nothing changed. It's the same amount of numbers. I have a very good, respected colleague in the pro-life movement who was talking about Planned Parenthood. We've talked a lot about abortion pills. I don't want to make this the abortion pill podcast, but I know it's on people's minds. But this is a recent conversation last week, and he was saying they lied about the numbers to get Roe through, and it's very similar. He was alive during that time. He said it's very similar to them lying now about inflating the abortion pill numbers, because you have the stockpiled abortion pills, but then you have abortion pills that women actually take. And I know we've talked about this. I thought that was a really good analogy, is that the messaging is the same, which is abortions happen all the time everywhere because they are needed. And they were lying back then, and Bernard Nathan said, yeah, I made up all the 60,000 abortions. I just made that up. No way I've done 60,000.
You repeat it enough, and they take root in the public consciousness.
And I think now that's taken root in the pro-life consciousness, which is, well, nothing we do matters because everybody's taking 10 chemical abortion pills every single day. And abortion pills are the majority of all abortions. We know that. But we have no idea, really, how many people are actually taking abortion pills because the mail order thing is so insane.
Well, we got a bunch of emails in the last month about, I think it was in Seattle, where they announced that they were just going to be prescribing abortion pills for when women need them eventually.
Right.
People are kind of like, oh man, did you guys see this? I was like, our response, Heather and I were responding to a lot of these emails saying, yeah, we pretty confident that's the norm, not an exception.
Yeah, that's just what they're doing, so that when you walk up, they say, "Hey, here you go."
That was really big when the heartbeat law passed in Texas and went into effect in 2021, because a lot of these third-party groups, especially, were saying, stockpile, go ahead and get ready for and then May comes right after that, right, which is the leak of the Dobbs decision. Go ahead and start stockpiling your medicine cabinet like Tylenol. I mean, they were specifically saying that. So this has been, put out there for years that the abortion advocates have been encouraging women to do. Never anything about, the safety of that, the danger of not seeing a physician, not confirming your pregnancy, not confirming if it's ectopic or anything like that. Just stockpile it just in case so you can pop it like Tylenol.
The liability on this seems like it must be through the roof,
Yeah.
right? Because somebody is going to get one of these scumbags forcing the abortion, or somebody is going to have the undiagnosed ectopic pregnancy, or something is going to go very wrong, because they're going wrong all the time. But eventually someone's going to connect the dots and say, hey, you went on TV and said that I should stock this in my home and take it, or stock it so that it could be stolen by the boyfriend, or
Well,
you do this with fentanyl or,
Yeah.
or the opiates, and
No. We don't even have to do that. It's a really good point. Of course, they've deregulated it so much that how are we going to get a lawsuit? But I do think that a lawsuit is coming with that, with stockpile it. It is Tylenol. Put it in your cabinet. And that's why we're glad we did the scumbag thing, but we highlighted all the scumbags to show they were prosecuted. And a lot of them are serving time, so it's not like they're all getting away with it. But the lawsuit, the comparison is, what would we do that with? What else do we do that with? Mm-hmm. Look at all the dumb stuff you have to do to just get a blood pressure medication or something. I mean, think of what's not over the counter that we've had for decades that everybody knows is like safe, that are common medicines that people take all the time, and you still got to go in, you got to get a prescription, you got to do all this. And
I mean, penicillin. Nobody's out there. Is it possible to abuse penicillin? I don't know.
I don't
know
know.
they don't want to avoid breeding the super bug that's antibiotic resistant or whatever, so they've got to have some controls on it. But these are basic things, like you said, that everybody has.
we don't even allow baseball players to use steroids. Talk about regulation. Well, that's a different rant. I don't want to
And
rage bait you.
they need to start wearing jerseys that say "My body, my choice." So that
I know, but it's like we care about Mark McGwire's body when he's 80 years old. Nobody cares. They want to see home runs. And so we have all these regulations on drugs, and then the two pills that are going to go the most against natural law, because this has happened for a reason, right? You have sex, a baby's created, we have to stop that. So the first pill is going to kill the baby, then the second pill is going to force contractions, and you're going to pass the child in your toilet. And we're sending that through the mail. We're pre-writing the scripts for that. And yet, if you're like, hey, fill in the blank, no, you can't have that.
It's not like it's something really dangerous like ivermectin.
I knew Fauci would find his way into this. But it's a really good point. And on the lawsuit front, it's going to need to be the angle, because even if the abortion pills are so deregulated and that's pie in the sky of us thinking that Big Pharma could ever be sued on this. But it may not be Big Pharma, who everybody's always trying to sue for better, for worse. But it's going to be a case like that where you have somebody looking into a camera saying, this is the same as Tylenol. You need to stockpile this, and you need to take as many as possible. I still think that there's a case for the lawsuits for some of these women who are victims of the scumbags. I don't see how that, there's a lot there. The analogy is the guy that gave the lunatic kid the gun.
Yes.
And then you're the parent of the kid that got shot. So you wanted your baby. Your boyfriend got a weapon to kill your baby and was effective. who gave him the weapon.
Yeah.
Because he lied to get it. He
Right.
definitely, they all lied. We documented that in our 4daysforlife.com/scumbags. You can go look at that website. But it's documented that they, got lied and used their girlfriend's name or whatever, their wife's name in one case. So anyways, that is something that we will stay on top of and hopefully be part of that lawsuit eventually when it happens. Okay. So these services that decreased, emergency contraception, do you think that's because of the deregulation of the abortion pills? They're just skipping emergency contraception?
I have no idea. It would seem unlikely to me that women are just like, yeah, I'll just have the abortion pill instead of emergency contraception, which we know can cause abortions on its own, but before a woman recognizes she's pregnant. So I can't imagine psychologically how that would be the case, but whatever the reason is, I don't know if there's some new distribution method where they're getting it more over-the-counter access or something
There
like
is
that.
a lot of over-the-counter emergency contraception.
Was it a change in the last couple of years?
I don't think there was a change. Well, I don't know, because remember, we talked about this a while back where there was what was called the Gen Z emergency contraception. It was just basically a new brand. I believe it was called Julie or Julia, and it was at Walmart. And so it was like supposedly flying off the shelves. But it was supposed to be what made it the Gen Z emergency contraception, I don't know. But you can go in the pharmacy at Walmart or your grocery store and you can see Plan B on the shelf. It's right next to the pregnancy tests and the condoms. I mean, it's easy to get. So that's a good question. Maybe it's because Planned Parenthood sucks and people are starting to realize it.
I guess why go there if you don't have to?
Yeah.
Well, this all speaks to why they had to close so many facilities. So all their, quote, actual care, their breast exams went down, Pap tests went down. What is this? Cryotherapy for abnormal cell growth in the cervix decreased by more than 900%?
Right. That's kind of a niche thing, right?
Yeah.
Cryotherapy, they just freeze the abnormal cells. But
that's the stuff they raise money off. Like, we're taking care of women here,
and their justification for not defunding.
Right. And all those sources numbers went down. They probably are saying, of course they went down. We were defunded. We weren't able to help women to the same level.
Yeah, though again, most of this is before the defunding was implemented. Yep. Preventative care down. That's the other thing. Women depend on us for preventative health care. Miscarriage care. This one, I expect that if they haven't already, they'll say, oh, this is because now Texas made it illegal to treat women with miscarriage, which of course is not true. But
right.
this advances their talking point.
Yep.
Yeah. Telehealth appointments more than doubled.
Yeah, they've gone really all in on this, which doesn't come as a surprise, but now we've got numbers that back it up.
That's probably healthcare at large. I mean, I still have to go to the doctor and the dentist and everything, but I mean, overall, wouldn't that be for these sort of non-legit healthcare providers that just do telehealth? Okay, education. This is typically the perverted part of the podcast, but not this go around. Number of Planned Parenthood education participants decreased slightly in 2024. Educational video views collapsed. They're down over 450,000. That's insane. Chatbot conversations dropped by 60,000. Website visits collapsed. 60% decline in traffic. That is shocking because with all the alarms going off, you've got to get your stuff. They're all going to close the Planned Parenthoods. Just the Google closest Planned Parenthood to me, Planned Parenthood near me. You would just think they're good. Heck, I'm surprised with the defunding in the news. Is Planned Parenthood defunded? You would think their website traffic would just have increased because they were in the news.
Yeah, you would think that big time. And also, this, I think, is an answer to a question we often get, which is, if abortion pills are going through the mail, what does it even matter when you're celebrating closing a Planned Parenthood? And we say, look, there's a lot of reasons why. And one of the reasons why it matters when a Planned Parenthood closes is it decreases their footprint. You've got less sex educators in the school. You've got less promotion of this sex chat robot thing that they've got that they're marketing toward kids. They just have less access to your children when they don't have physical facilities open. And it would seem to me that that is reflected in their education numbers. Really, this is the most important part of the podcast, perhaps. Yeah. We can talk every year, there's a little bit, this went up, this went down, but this is massive. Almost 500,000 fewer views. They didn't even have 1 million views the year before, and now they're down almost 500,000 from there. Tremendous collapse. This is great news for parents, really.
Yep.
Yeah. The problem is the analogy is wrong. People think it's like DVDs. It doesn't matter. They're streaming movies online. It's just changed. It's not like that. When Planned Parenthood closes, number one, we've talked about how most of the abortion pills are still distributed through brick and mortar. They're not through the mail, the majority of them. So that's an obvious point. And we see that at the vigils. We save more babies from chemical abortion now than surgical abortion just because of the landscape. But it's their footprint, and it's the access to it, and it's them. Even if you're in these red states or abortion-free states where Planned Parenthood still has a few Planned Parenthoods, they're going to refer you, and they're going to encourage you, and they're probably going to make an appointment, and they probably will offer to pay for travel. We'll get to that later, but it just increases abortion numbers when they're open. And so...
Yeah, so I think, what does this mean?
I know it sounds weird to say it's good when a Planned Parenthood closes, but sometimes we need to say the basics.
And we talk about this podcast being the podcast dedicated to helping you end abortion where you live. So what does this mean where you live? And I think what this means is that your kid goes to school and the Planned Parenthood in town closed. And so there's nobody there to come into the school and sit down and say, and by the way, if you're not comfortable talking with your parents, here is our sex chat education robot. And that's cut out of your life now.
Say that 10 times really fast.
We've gone from the sex robot podcast to the sex chat education robot.
Education robot. Yeah, those T-shirts will be at the store.
Highbrow.
Okay, here's what the sex ed looks like in schools. Okay, Planned Parenthood released a toolkit to help parents understand and advocate for sex education in their children's schools. Quote, it's just as important as ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. There we go. Elementary school. Quote, what body parts do? They also acknowledge LGBTQ families and where babies come from. That's kind of scary. That's elementary
This
school.
is why we're glad that the education stuff is done, because these are conversations that aren't happening as much.
Right. Middle school, sexual orientation and gender identity and expression, who you are and how to prevent pregnancy.
Were you worried about that when you were in 7th grade?
No.
How to
No,
prevent
Cowboys
pregnancy.
won the Super Bowl when I was in the 7th grade. That consumed my entire life.
And the Packers won it when I was in 7th grade.
Well, isn't that that was a gimme? We had a few injuries. Anyways.
No, my point, of course, is middle school kids are not thinking about this stuff unless you force it upon them.
Well, and sure as heck, a 3rd grader.
Right.
Like, what? 2 mommies? That's weird. Kids still believe in weird.
They're thinking about it. I think they're thinking about it more than, a generation ago because of smartphones now. And it seems like most parents are giving their young kids smartphones. I mean, I know a lot of parents and friends of mine who have young kids who are very adamant that they will not be giving their child a cell phone until, 18 years old or 16 years old when they can drive. And even then it's going to be, a very limited settings and no social media and that sort of thing. I have a feeling that's not most parents. I think
Right.
a lot of parents just are still really unaware of the fact that this is a ticking time bomb that you're handing to your child. And so then I would see Planned Parenthood as coming in and saying, see, your kids are already learning about all these things and we are the experts, so we can come in and kind of sift through what they see on TikTok, and help them understand what the truth is. And then, of course, really what they want to do is drive that wedge between the kids and the parents when it comes to that, especially if the parents would have any chance at all of objecting to any of this material.
Yeah, I know my older kids, they were the only ones without an iPhone, like when they were little and in middle school. They got one when they were 16 and could drive. But I think now my second half, now that they're little, we notice fewer of the elementary school kids have smartphones.
The research is coming out. I just
Yeah.
read a fantastic book called The Anxious Generation. And there's some people who disagree with the concept, but I think it makes a pretty strong case that so many of the problems that we see, particularly with regard to mental health, suicide, things like that, it spikes immediately after the iPhone is invented.
2008, yeah.
And I
after
think,
that, yeah.
knock on wood, this may not age well. We were talking about saying ridiculous things on the podcast and then playing them later. But it appears that Toy Story 5 is taking this head on from the previews, that it's really going to be funny because the toys, and Tim Allen's back. He's no longer a racist, and Tom Hanks is in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So Toy Story
wonderful.
5 comes out, I think, at the end of June, and they're all the normal toys, right, that the kid plays with. And now the little girl, I think, gets an iPad. And the toys are like, what do we
Oh,
do?
no.
She stares at it all day. We
Yeah.
can't compete. Like, and it's to show, like, technology's bad.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting to get that from Disney.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that has to do with what you said, which is the research, which is this probably isn't good for kids, and you're starting to see it mocked somewhat in the culture. So hopefully Toy Story 5 helps.
We have a lot of kids
hope.
watching Toy Story 5 on their
On their
iPad.
On their iPad. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
That's beside the point, Steve.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I agree with that, and it's just a. I mean, people say it's a battle. It's not really a battle if they don't have it, obviously. And then when they get it, you just have to monitor it. There were things that my parents had to monitor in the 90s that you don't have to monitor now, you know? And it's great with if you're going to have Big Brother in the iPhones, but it's great to know where my 17-year-old is, you know?
Yes.
And if they got rear-ended and Life 360 just called the cops and then called me, and it was like this great thing.
Yes.
One of them broke down. There's a tow truck there. I met him. You know, the driver calls you because you're the adult. There are some good things that come out of it.
Definitely.
And also kudos to Apple and Google, who have made the security stuff a lot better, where you can block porn, you can block these horrible, you know, websites that if kids want to go to.
Can you block the sex chatbot education robot?
Well, I mean, that's just like a must, is having the robot on your iPhone, you know, just ask sexual questions all day. But I'm sure you can block the robot.
On this education front, it was kind of interesting because
I'm
they're
going to block Steve. How do I do that on my iPhone?
interesting on the education front. They've got their toolkits and how parents can help promote healthy sex ed and age-appropriate so-called sex ed in the schools. They've got whole sections on how to counter talking points about controversial notions like parents' rights and children's safety.
No.
Oh, someone at the school board meeting brings up parents' rights. Here's what you say. And part of their advice is they say, don't even respond to the pro-life talking points. Instead, pivot to a personal story and message.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is all political conversations now, or fill in the blank, religious conversations, you know.
But to me, this is somewhat fascinating because they have tried to claim the mantle of science for so many years. Well, we're educators, and this is evidence-based, classroom-proven tactics for reducing, whatever. And they're saying, actually, don't talk about the data. Just tell a story that has an emotional hook on it.
Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Oh, the nuns hit me when I was in elementary school. Oh, right. So did he rise from the dead or not? Yeah. It's just the typical distraction.
So what's the failure rates on those Planned Parenthood condoms? Planned Parenthood saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
High school birth
Please
control.
don't say condoms on the podcast.
Well, they're handing them out like candy in the high schools and on college campuses. How to get reproductive care. We all know what that means. Birth control and pregnancy options for high school. See, but they're leaving out. Remember, they always want to pivot in these board meetings as well, these school board meetings, when it comes to actually reading the material out loud. And to use your favorite word, the pornification of children.
That is Steve's favorite word. I banned it from coming out of Steve's mouth.
This is like the drug commercials of the 80s. I got it from watching you.
When I said your favorite, I meant that sarcastically.
Oh, thank you. I just had to clarify that for the listeners. Okay, revenue. Let's talk about this. This is kind of juicy. Okay, this is including taxpayer funding, okay? the defunding was signed July 4th, 2025. Great day in America.
America.
Planned Parenthood's net assets declined.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That does not happen. It's a steady arrow going one way, and for the first time, at least in any recent memory, their assets went down.
The best stat we have in this podcast is coming up right now. Donations increased 6.4%. That's absurd. They should have had a record year of fundraising. And they had evil Donald Trump get reelected, who picked on poor Kamala, who was standing up for women's rights. They didn't, I mean, Cecile Richards raised an additional $80 million in 2016 with Trump's election, just off election night. An additional $80 million of what they did the year before. They went up 6% with electing Trump, all the defunding chatter, which they just chose to ignore and not participate in. It was weird. It was very weird. I just think that they knew they were going to get defunded. I don't know why they didn't want to talk about it and try to raise money off of it. I'm not trying to give them ideas, but the whole evil Trump is trying to crush us. We're not going away. We'll be here for women. Send money now. They just didn't do that.
I saw a lot of commercials on regular networks that were Planned Parenthood fundraising, the government is trying to take away our rights and all this kind of stuff. That was, QR codes to scan.
You saw it in Austin? Mm-hmm. Those must have been local.
I don't know if the ads were local. I mean, of course I got it on all of my, internet, email, sidebars and stuff too.
Yeah, I got some internet advertising, and it was focused on Texas. It was like they're trying to, Texas women won't go away, all that kind of stuff. And but the funding, with abortion being the primary issue that the Dems ran on in 2024, and that losing, Planned Parenthood could have gone in there and just cleaned up. It's very surprising.
Do you hear, I was thinking about this earlier, we never hear the 1 in 5 women, need Planned Parenthood, use Planned Parenthood, 1 in 5 women in America. That, which was so laughable because that equates to about 34 million women.
Right. Right. They would be.
But nobody called them out on that for the longest time, except for the pro-life movement.
They would be busier than Chick-fil-A.
I mean, we got the number here. In 2024, 2.1 million Americans. So that includes...
That's men and anybody who doesn't know what they are.
Right.
That's the hormone replacement therapy for the woman going through menopause that's not trying to become a man. Yeah, so that's all of those.
We're talking less than 1% of America.
Right. And so do we hear any claims like that? I don't hear any claims like that from talking points from Planned Parenthood anymore.
No, I don't. I just think that the Trump alone, is just gold for them. I mean, these people, you have a lot of conservatives that don't like the side of Donald Trump.
It's easy to hate him.
The left, no, it's not. The left, the left is so, he's like worse than the devil. There's no category. So you go out and you raise money off of that.
Right.
And they've done it in the past. It's not like this is an invention. And they just weren't able to do it. I know we've picked on poor Alexis McGill Johnson because she's not been a good CEO for them, and we see that in these numbers. But her aside, I mean, nobody can really screw this up. It should have just happened naturally. Like Matt Damon is just sitting at his house and he sees Trump's elected and he gets on and he gives them $10 million online. Like that didn't happen. And that is a brand problem. That is we don't trust you and we have money and we're super liberal and we're worried about women, but we're not giving you the money. That's the difference between Planned Parenthood 2025 and Planned Parenthood 2015.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about in 2022 for the election, Planned Parenthood, where the Democrats went all in on Planned Parenthood and all in on abortion, and it worked. They should have gotten crushed, and they didn't really get crushed that much.
But it was knee-jerk. It was still only 5 months after Roe.
And then 2024, they were like, we'll run that same play again. And it failed, and that's where you came on this podcast. I don't remember which episode, but you said, look, the Democrats are moving away from abortion as their hot button issue, and they're moving away from trans, and it's immigration. And that's exactly what we've seen. And now Planned Parenthood, when they try to be all things to all people, and now Now we're the diversity-friendly playlist, and we're the trans immigration group. They have no identity. They don't know what they are, who they are, what they stand for, and they've lost the political support that they had previously. It's not that there aren't pro-abortion politicians anymore, but it's not the top issue, and it's not in the top 3, and they're paying a price for it right now in a big way.
Yeah, in the political move, and empathy can be a very good thing, but their empathy is what they go after. Who does the right not care about? Women and their abortion rights. So that's gonna be our thing. The poor trans kid who's not allowed to transition, the gay man who's like not allowed to hang out with the guys and drink beer, whatever. That the empathy. We're empathetic to you, the forgotten. Okay. So that didn't work in 2024 because you can't celebrate abortion and sell it as a good. You could say, we need this, but you can't run on it. You need to run on the economy or healthcare or something else. And so they got it handed to them. So now it's like, that didn't work. Who does the right not care about? Illegal immigrants. And so we're going to go and show you how empathetic we are and how we're so loving and they're so hateful. And that's their new moral crusade. And whether people agree with it or not, whether you're like, so can you just come into this country illegally? Like, do we need any laws? I mean, you don't get into any substantive things. You're just, I saw a guy with a sign in Houston yesterday standing on a bridge. I was driving to a meeting and you go down the interstate and he's on the bridge and he was dressed as a Marine and he had a huge red, white, and blue sign that said F ICE. And I was like, okay, so let's think about that, what ICE does. Like, did we talk about ICE 5 years ago? Maybe we did because we had Trump, but I don't remember. Was there a pro-ICE, anti-ICE thing?
I think it was there, but it was a second or third tier issue.
Yeah.
Now it's like, where do you stand on ICE? And it's funny how these things come and go because we stir the pot, or a small group of people stir the pot. And you're like, I'd never seen that guy out there. Like, I've driven this, a million times. And it's just kind of funny to see how these things, and this is what is, to me, such a beautiful compliment to the pro-life movement, is just the focus on the reality of the unborn child. And that consistently, decade after decade after decade, we try stuff, it doesn't work, or we're disappointed in presidents, or we've botched the Supreme Court stuff, or whatever. But the focus has been, yes, people in 1973 were worried that abortion killed the baby, and they're still worried about it today. In 1987, at Thanksgiving, if you were like, yeah, my cousin's an ICE agent, nobody stood up and stormed out of the room.
Right, you'd be like, what's that?
What's that? Yeah.
This is why I think it makes such a difference when we've talked about for all these years that when you go out and you pray at a 40 Days for Life vigil, that it's a prayer vigil. It's not a protest. Because most real people don't protest. But the people who go out to a 40 Days for Life vigil are real people doing ordinary things. They're not activists. They're not professional. They're not getting Soros money. They're just regular people. And it's a lot more authentic grassroots rather than the astroturfed, NGO complex money coming in to pay for you to write your F-ICE sign.
Before we get off this and go to just the wrap up, so obviously the defunding was historic. And the overturning of Roe was historic. I think the defunding was even more historic. We're hearing that they are expected to get refunded. People can sign we still have our defund Planned Parenthood, defundplannedparenthood.com. You can go and sign the petition if you haven't signed it already. But there's a lot of esoteric, I know one of your favorite words, reasons. It was fun. This is a good little Matt Britton shout out. Reasons of why that's happening, because they are focusing on immigration. They're saying they're going to defund them next year. I do think there's been some mishandling of it in our movement of the defunding. But the reality is it looks like they're probably going to get refunded. We'll see what that looks like because it is a year, just like the defunding was a year. Hopefully they don't. But this is Speaker Mike Johnson saying it's probably not going to happen because of the way that they're structuring the budget and I don't agree with it, but it's what they're saying. Go ahead.
Something that'd be very fascinating about is I hope more than anything that something changes and they are defunded once again.
And we're working on that.
But that means that we're going to hit a point in the next couple of years where we're going to be able to look at the Planned Parenthood numbers and then the numbers when they were defunded and then the numbers they were refunded. And that will tell us a ton.
That'll tell. Yeah, it's like we don't want them to be funded, but if they are for another year, it gives us a whole new realm to look into to see how bad their situation is. Because we also don't know what refunded means, right? I mean, what were they up to $750 million? I don't know if they're getting that, but the interesting thing will be the closures.
Yeah.
Because you can say last year, there was cash flow problems, but they got defunded, so they closed a bunch of locations. But we knew that was going to happen the year before when we did this podcast in the annual report. Because I think I said to you, I was like, if you look at these numbers, this is a company that's going out of business. And then a year later, they started closing everything. Then they got defunded. So we'll see what happens because I'm not confident in, most of their tax funding went to politics.
Yeah.
As you pointed out. So 2027 is not an election year. I know this year, as I guess they'll take the money in the summer and pour it into Democrats, but they don't really want to run on abortion, as we've just discussed. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the money, like how it impacts them.
Yeah, big time. And as we've said many times before, the federal funding, the taxpayer funding, is just one of their three main streams of revenue. You've got the taxpayer funding, you've got the contributions, which we see are stagnant even the year that Donald Trump takes office again. And you've got the client services, and that can be defunded every day. We're now accepting applications to lead the September 23rd through November 1st 40 Days for Life campaign at 40daysforlife.com/apply.
/apply. It's June. Speaking of June, we're not recording this, obviously, in June. So we don't know what's happening in California. So California, the election's June the 2nd.
Oh.
And I'll be out there. I will happen to be out there.
The day that this podcast is released.
Yeah, I'm going to vote like 100 times.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Break the law. But yeah, it's we don't know what's happening when we're recording this, but that will be very telling because Planned Parenthood donations are impacted by politics. And if LA elects a Republican mayor and California elects a Republican governor, now they could both totally lose. They could win. We don't know. But it's definitely on the table. That's going to be interesting of how they capitalize. Because you could try the Trump thing again. Oh my gosh, outrage. What do we do? But the California thing is different because it's all liberals, right? I know that there's some conservatives, but those are people that are saying, I'm liberal, I'm left. My house burned to the ground.
Yes.
You didn't do anything. Like, it's just different. You
Yep.
don't mess with people's like water and houses and pets and, and it just doesn't, it's no longer left versus right. It's just, how are we living? Why is everybody leaving our state, even though it's the most beautiful state in the country by far?
There's a phenomenon here that I think is transcending partisan politics, and that is a rejection and a suspicion of establishment.
Right.
And so, Trump's numbers are not great right now. The favorability numbers are pretty doggone low.
Is that Iran, you think?
I think that's a big driver of it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the only one.
I would too. I think whether we're for the war or against it or whatever, nobody was sitting here going, I'm just terrified of Iran on New Year's Eve. And then it became this number one priority out of nowhere, I think. And people were like, oh, like we bombed everything in 24 hours. And it was just like, okay, we're not. And that's when the right started to further split.
Yeah.
And I think that would explain Trump's numbers, because before the Iran war, the independents loved them. I mean, the economy was, stable.
And he took some hits on the ICE in Minnesota situation.
Yes.
So I think those are two big turning points. But his numbers appear to be quite low, and yet the Democrats are not doing any better. The Democrats are very unpopular. And you see Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles, which I'm glad that you mentioned. Like, win or lose, he has kind of caught lightning in a bottle there. And I think all of this reveals a deep suspicion and rejection of establishment. And guess what Planned Parenthood is? It's an establishment organization.
Yeah. Well, and
good point.
Trump is probably, he's the founding father of uprooting the establishment, going back to 2015 and Jeb Bush and just going through people one by one and then dethroning Hillary. But I think on the Democrat side, it's Biden and them lying or faking that he was out of his mind and then forcing Kamala and the Democrats not getting to have a primary. And I just think that mistrust on the left is very much like, y'all are all a bunch of crooks.
Yeah, only a few years after they essentially rigged it against Bernie for Hillary.
Right, exactly. Crazy Bernie. But yeah, that's totally true. And I think we're seeing that California is not immune to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love as a God-fearing Texan, and you should love it too? All the crap we've had to listen to over the last 5 years. Texas is going blue. Texas is going purple. And everybody, even Karl Rove, everybody's pointing out the people moving from California, they can afford to live in Colorado or Florida. They're coming to Texas because they're conservative. So we got redder in 2020. We got redder than that in 2022. And we certainly got more red in 2024. And that's at the state level, not just our Congress and you know, all of, on the national stage, but our state House and state Senate got redder. We just voted and banned Sharia law. We just voted and officially life begins at fertilization in Texas.
Right.
China can't steal our water. Like, we vote on stuff. I sent you the ballot. You're like cracking up. You're like, is this fake? Matt thought it was fake. I was like, this is the real sample ballot. God bless Texas. So this whole time, all we hear, all this California money pouring into Texas to turn it blue, failing dismally, and their state's turning red. Like, that's hysterical.
They
Why aren't you laughing, Heather? Isn't it great?
I will see what happens in November. We'll see what happens in November.
Oh, you're doing that whole thing. You're going to be the we'll see person. Like, well, we'll just have to see. Of course we're going to see.
I want to count your eggs before they hatch.
I'm saying when this podcast comes out, California may have a Republican governor, and I think that's hysterical for a state whose donors have pushed their money out of the state into other elections, which they've done time and time again in Texas, and it fails. And it's kind of like you're in your own backyard. You could lose your state politically. So, anyways.
They had the chance to drop Gavin Newsom, though, 2 years ago? Weren't they going to?
the recall.
The recall, and then they didn't. I mean, I don't know.
I'm a big Gavin Newsom fan.
Yeah, you are. It's annoying.
It is annoying, and I can't explain it. I think he's like, here's what he is. He is the insurance salesman or the car salesman that just so fits the stereotypes that you appreciate it, right? He's the guy at the Packer game when it's like 5 degrees and there's no shirt and he's got like 2 beers and he's painted and you're like, I at least respect what you're doing here. And so, yeah.
There's something admirable about transparency. And he is as transparent as it gets.
He's just so full of it. And they're broke. And he's like, no, we got a surplus. You know, it's like, no. Like, you can pull it up on the website. He just kind of lies, I guess. That's what we call it. As Rick Perry said, where I'm from, we call that lying. But he just makes stuff up, and you're just kind of have to agree with it.
It's like Mamdani in New York, where he's like, hey, people said socialism doesn't work. We just balance our budget with a bailout from the state government.
Right.
It really cracks me up with Newsom. So anyways, I don't know, what's going to happen with him in the future, but it's comical. Look, Heather looks so miserable. You're down. Steve's up, Heather's down.
Hey, look,
summertime.
If you guys elect your vegan senator, I will agree that all is lost, but I have a hard time seeing that happening in the great state of Texas.
This is we got to wrap up, but this is the establishment problem. And Karl Rove invented this. It's genius, but it's not true. Which is, you run this guy, you'll lose. You'll lose in the general election. And it just scared people into weak candidates. It really did.
Yeah.
And that's the absolute reality of people that do this is like, if you nominate this guy, then you're going to lose in the fall. And that's
why I started us off by promoting Weekend at Bernie's. Bernie was the establishment. It was a metaphor.
Okay. Yeah. he was also dead.
I know the parallels run deep, don't they?
You have to forgive a lot in that movie. There's no smell.
Oh man.
His hair doesn't fall out at all. I forget. I forget how they do the sequel. I mean, but now we're talking like a year's passed and he's still dead. Okay.
Willing suspension of disbelief.
We actually have some substantive information as we close out. Planned Parenthood claims that up to 200 more facilities are in danger of closing. We don't know if that's a fundraising ploy or a reality. Probably a combo of both. Planned Parenthood paid $3.7 million to help just over 12,000 clients get abortions with travel. So $3.7 million to travel, including babysitting.
Creepy. Very creepy.
Yeah.
Hey, watch my kids so that I can...
Yep.
It's just it's not that they do it. It's that they list that they do it.
Yeah.
Like, we paid for her babysitting. I mean, just no clue on optics of how that sounds.
You know how there's Unplanned and it was a good movie, and there was Gosnell and it was a good movie, but there are also some really not B, not C, but like independent pro-life movies. We need to do one about the Planned Parenthood babysitter.
Oh, wow.
That's a horror movie.
What does he mean by we?
Yeah.
I'm going to cast it.
By the way,
Casting director and costume director.
by the way, the 12,000 people that traveled to get abortions is down by 300 from the previous year, even though everybody's supposed to be traveling, and that's just going to continue to increase. The travel, they definitely overestimated. Here's the other thing. What was not reported, transgender services.
Yeah, like I said, you get some of that in the local annual reports. We mentioned the local annual reports before. This is not part of the national annual report, but maybe worth pointing out that the Planned Parenthood of Greater New York was heralding their strategic partnership with CVS to distribute abortion pills. And then you went on Fox News, and suddenly that's no longer on the annual report.
It was hysterical. That all happened, as we mentioned earlier, in like 3 hours.
And CVS denied.
It's like showing up. This is my girlfriend. No, it's not. We're not dating. Yeah. You said you love me. No, I hate you. And so CVS denied being with Planned Parenthood. Then they went back to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, that's not true. They are our partnership. It's on our website. And CVS is like, no, we're not. We have no further comment. It's really, really great.
You very kindly gave me credit for that, but I just took that from an email from Michael, our leader on Long Island.
Hey!
And, I was like, hey, thank you, Michael.
That was from Michael. Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. That was excellent. Well, it just shows you pay attention to the details. And
it's a benefit of being out there. When you're on the ground at an abortion facility, you see things that other people aren't paying attention to. And now CVS is denying a partnership.
We got 3 stories out of that because Fox went to CVS. And they were like, no, we're not doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it was right there. And the reporter had a lot of fun with it, but it was just great. Like, this is why we have to have grassroots organizations. So, okay. Any closing comments?
Nada.
Just waiting for Weekend at Bernie's 3.
Email us your top 5 summer movies and also any controversial commentary that you have at podcast@40daysforlife.com, podcast@40daysforlife.com. Please rate, review, and share this podcast, and we will see you next time. Happy summer.